Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Hyatt.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And today is a big day, y'all. It's our season 5 premiere. And big premiere. And we couldn't have a premiere without doing something special. So we're joined today by a special guest. It's Diandra Lazor, not Lazor, sorry. Also known as Sassy Sledgehammer. Diandra, would you like to introduce yourself to the fans?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Spooky Tuesday fans. I am so excited to be a part of this podcast. I have been connected to these ladies for quite a little bit. This is a very special episode for me because if you are watching instead of listening, you'll see behind me, I have basically, it's all A Nightmare on Elm Street. And
it's gorgeous.
Well, thanks. I'm a huge A Nightmare on Elm Street fan, and I mean, it really is my personality. Everyone's like, "Do you want to talk about these other horror movies?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can," but my knowledge is very limited. But when it comes to Nightmare, I know a lot. I used to have a podcast, and I was telling the girls that I'm thinking about starting back up specifically for Nightmare. And I had a documentary come out with some of my friends in 2022. Yeah, 2023 maybe. It's hard to remember.
One of those.
And it's on Tubi, and it's called FredHeads, and it's about the community of the Nightmare on Elm Street fandom.
Wow, so we picked the right person to have on this episode. We knew that, but now everybody else knows.
Now we really know it.
Yeah, confirmed that we are actually, in fact, so smart and perfect once again.
Shouts out to Sydney. It was her idea.
Also, because I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I was thinking, gosh, it sure has been a really long time since I watched 1 and 2, and I had to pull up my notes and go searching for it. So I'm glad we have an expert here who can answer the questions that I maybe don't quite remember. So
I also appreciated that there's that part where Nancy's like, here's a recap of the history of what Freddy's all about during the movie. I was like, totally forgot all of that. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, we are having I told you I'd kick my desk. There's the first time. We are having an expert on Freddy here today because we are doing A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. It's a little bit of a mouthful, a tongue twister, but it's beautiful. And we're using that as our kickoff for season 5. So before we dive into it, let me read the little IMDb log line, and then we'll get into the dream world. Okay. A psychiatrist familiar with knife-wielding dream demon Freddy Krueger helps teens at a mental hospital battle the killer who is invading their dreams. Wow.
Does it say dreams in there more than once?
Dream demon and dreams at the end.
Okay.
Right. Knife-wielding dream demon Freddy Krueger was hard for me to say.
Demon. I like that description, though. That's a good description for him.
I hope
really
somebody
like
describes me like that one day.
I will.
Thank you. Oh my God.
You're welcome. So sweet.
You are definitely a dream demon for sure.
I have complete faith that there will be some man out there one day who has a sleep paralysis demon that's Sydney, like Jennifer's body style, where she's like perched in that one moment. You know what I mean? He's gonna have that.
I can only hope, actually.
Demon.
I'm sure that's already happened.
You'll have to work on the knife wielding part, but
I can work on that.
I know that someone has had a terrifying nightmare about you already, and I can say that I probably have as well, and I probably blocked it out. But I'm really glad we're doing this movie, particularly today after I had one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had in my life last night, where I thought I was pregnant and I woke up and thought I was pregnant and then grabbed my stomach and was like, oh, I guess I'm not pregnant. So Freddy is with
Oh
me
my
today.
God.
I feel, yeah.
That's
And I only
heavy.
remember
You said you were having
halfway
anxiety
through the
dreams
day.
earlier, and now I know what you mean.
Oh my God. I remembered halfway through the day today and I was like, oh my God. And I told Adam and he was like, haha, body horror. And I was like, I need to talk to some women about this. So don't worry. I just debriefed with my best friend. We're okay.
I
But
love that
Jesus
you had a
Christ.
horrible dream like that. And I had one of the most vivid dreams of my entire lives recently, but it was just me and my two cousins in a crab eating contest. And there was a giant
who won?
pile of crab. Oh, the announcer was like, I have never seen a feat of athleticism like these girls eat.
It's a fucking way.
I wonder what this says about your psyche.
God, I see
want a
what you are
crab eating
doing for
dream.
others. And why can't I have those types of dreams? What the hell?
I mean, I did recently watch that Joey Chestnut and the other guy like eat hot dogs.
Oh, the hot
on-
dog.
Yeah, and so I was like, maybe that's where it comes from. And also, somebody should take me to get crab legs.
I think probably it's completely original thought.
Oh, now I'm hungry.
Do you want a crab? Sydney's got a barrel.
Yeah.
It was a mountain of crab, and it was incredible.
Honestly, it's even more impressive because crab's really hard to eat. So keep in mind when he
yeah.
said athleticism,
there's
he's
so
not
much
fucking
work.
around.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
You're
scared.
out there cracking, you know?
Yeah, cracking and sucking.
I bet if you
Two things
had...
that I'm great at.
Oh,
If you had
Deandra, you
nice
already
fingers,
fit
though,
right
that
in
would help.
here.
You know, I was hoping it was okay. I'm like, here it comes. That's what she said. I don't know.
No, that's the vibe. That's the whole vibe. I mean, I'm so glad we're doing this movie just to bring it back to Nightmare on Elm Street because
Why
I
would we
know
do that?
weird, it's so weird, but I had to do it just because like I don't know. I loved the last one. Obviously, we loved Freddy's Revenge. It's so gay. It was fantastic. We had a wonderful time with it. But something about the kills in this one are just so fucking spectacular, so creative, so unsettling. Like I had a blast with this one. And they remind me how much I love this franchise because it's so silly. And like we said in our very first Freddy episode that we did, that man has pizzazz. He's got the most pizzazz out of all of these big three franchise killers, I gotta say. He's so fun and he's so fucked up. He's deeply wrong.
I feel like that's what they did. They really leaned hard into that in the third one. They were like, all right, this man's really messed up. He has a really messed up backstory. What can we do to make him more messed up? Oh, what if he is the child of a nun who was, graped? And and
Did,
then we're
did
like,
we know that
wow,
before this movie? Did we know about his mom
this is
thing?
when we nuh-uh. They're
Okay,
like, what if
okay,
we
'cause
take
I
a
was like, I
holy
don't
thing
remember
and-
that.
Yeah, it was this movie, and I was like, ooh, what else could you possibly do to him to make him even worse? Like they have
Was
done
she-
absolutely everything.
Was she already a nun at the time that she was working in the hospital, or was that like a pivot
Yeah.
post? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, she was
was
a
a
nun. Mm-hmm. And she
A
was
hospital
locked in
nun.
there over the holidays, where she was inappropriately assaulted
Hundreds
by
of bastard demons.
100
blah, blah, blah.
men, mentally
Yeah.
insane men.
It's so interesting the
Ugh.
way that
Oh,
all of their
Ugh.
sperm
Woof.
combined to make a demon child.
That's how it
What
works,
an-
Chelsea.
Well, obviously I know that I'm a scientist, but I just think it's, the way that specific chemistry came together to form Freddy Krueger is such an interesting choice to make for backstory.
I
We're
love
dealing
they're
with a
just
lot
dropping
of
new
themes.
Freddy lore movie 3. Like what?
Well, look,
You gotta do
Did
it. It's
they-
important.
I don't remember how much Freddy lore was in 2, but also I don't know how much of that would be like retconned anyway, because I mean the thing, I'm sure Deandra can speak to this, but from what I was reading on IMDb, Wes Craven didn't want this to be a franchise when he made the first movie.
Sorry, Wes.
And then they made the second movie without him, and then he came back for this movie, but he really wanted it to be very like new Nightmare-esque, and then they said no. and then he came up with a new treatment, and then it changed a lot while he was away on another project, not directing this movie. And then so it's like, it's all kind of just knife handed together, you know what I mean, for them to come up with what we've got here.
Knife handed.
Yeah.
I see what you did there, Chelsea.
It was so good.
Beautiful.
Slashed and hacked together. Yeah. Have you guys ever read Wes's original script for part 3? By any
No.
chance?
Oh.
I'll have to send it to you. It's on a website called nightmareonelmstreetfilms.com, and it is much darker than the
Yeah,
one
I
that we
heard
got.
that.
Yeah, and
Wha-
it's
This
way
is
more
already pretty
vulgar.
dark.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So was it
it's-
completely different themes? Like, was it still the kids who were unaliving themselves or something else?
Yeah, I mean the premise is the same. Some of the characters, most of the characters are the same. Some of them have different names. The ending for Nancy is different, and they tap into the original ending in some of the comics. But so, like for example, I feel like I'm jumping ahead. I'm like already going to the end here.
I was
But
like, what do you mean comic?
Those
The innovation. Yeah, God, such a nerd. The Innovation Publishing comics.
Oh,
So
no.
what Wes had originally wrote, in addition to a much darker script, was at the end, Neil and Kristen are having a meal, and he's like, or she's like, "Do you still see her?" And essentially, what happens is Kristen is so powerful when she says, "I'm going to dream you into a beautiful dream." She does that for Nancy. She puts her, and she becomes the good equal to Freddy's nightmare realm, and she protects the dreamers there, and so she lives
I love
on in the
that.
beautiful dream. And they tap into that in the comics. Innovation Publishing did a Nightmares on Elm Street from 1991 to 92, and it was supposed to be the official like lead-in to Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, commissioned by New Line. So it is in fact canon. So if people often wonder what happened to Nancy,
yeah.
that's what happened. So at the end of part 3, I kind of imagine that that is what happens when the light comes on in the house. It's a different light, but there's so much that they kind of mixed up from the first
Oh.
movie that, and on the
Okay.
dream doll, that I think that that's Nancy and it's not Freddy, even though Freddy always makes a comeback. It's one of those scenarios where it was kind of like, well, are we going to have a sequel or are we not? And you are absolutely right. They were not supposed to have a sequel to the first one, but Bob Shea was like, from New Line was like, no, I kind of want to see if we're going to have a sequel. And Wes was like, I don't want a sequel. And Bob was like, no, let's do this.
Well, you're
they-
actually not in charge.
Right. You don't get a say, actually.
We
You
own
actually
the
want the
intellectual
rights,
property
so,
now.
yeah.
I paid you for this, so guess what? We're gonna have to come to a happy medium, and that's what they did. And then that's how they got the sequel to that, and then just kind of everything after that. So Wes really didn't like Bob Shea. Every time he came on set, he was like, "Please tell me if he's nearby because I don't want to talk to that man."
Sure.
I
But come
feel
on,
like-
Wes.
Yeah,
got
I
some
mean,
good
this
stuff.
character lends itself to wacky horror franchise sequels that get more and more insane. Like of
Mhm.
all of the big 3 or big 4, if you want to do that, like this, he's the guy who I could imagine going to space or doing all that stuff. But instead, they sent fucking Jason there. Like, okay, like I don't know. This one is still really good though. It gets crazy, but
Mhm.
it's the 3rd movie in and we haven't jumped the shark yet because I guess you kind of jumped the shark from moment 1 with this series just because we're doing like crazy dream nightmare.
like,
I
long
can kill you in
arms.
your sleep. I
Yeah.
am a
I
demon
can tongue kiss you
thing.
through the phone. I remember that. I remember that one from the first one.
I love his
Oh,
wiggly
yeah.
arms. I think about them
Mhm.
constantly, actually.
so
In what
pervy.
capacity?
They're just
So
like out
many.
here.
Yeah, honestly, it's just
It's alluring. It's something
we all
alluring
really
about
loved
that.
Yeah.
moment in the first one.
I forgot about that until now, so thank you for reminding
You're
me.
welcome.
How
You're
could I forget
welcome.
about that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about other things and having other nightmares.
I will
Um,
say this movie is only like 90 minutes. It's like 96 minutes long, including credits, technically. But it felt very short. Did anybody else experience that? Like, I thought we were still in setup and premise, basically. And then I looked up and it had been 2/3 of the movie and there was only 1/3 left. And I was like, oh, okay.
it keeps it nice and snappy for you. That's a good
That's
thing,
true.
I think.
That's true. I was amazed to be like, oh, it's gonna be over soon. But I mean, they were in the dream world at that point. I guess I expected more training, maybe. But Nancy says that in the movie. She says, we don't have time for more
There's
training.
no
We've
time.
got to do it live.
You really wanted like an eye of the tiger montage
Training
scene
montage.
I
where
wanted
they're like
Kristen
lifting
doing
weights.
7,000 more backflips.
Oh my god,
I would
did
honestly
love
have loved
that.
to have seen that. Kincaid just bending more things in half, and you're like, heck yeah,
Yeah.
got muscles. Love
Yes,
that.
I mean,
I just love the addition of Patricia Arquette though. Like I also
her
have been
film
calling her.
debut.
Yeah.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I've been calling her Patricia all day, so slap me through the screen if I do that again because I don't know what's going on with me. But she is just so adorable. She's so cute, little baby. I know her so well because I was obsessed with Medium,
Medium.
when I was younger. So yeah, that's just
You and my
my fucking
mother.
shit. I love that shit so much.
What about kissing Kate Barlow from Holes?
Well,
Yeah.
of
I can
course
fix that.
too.
I could fix that. I want those
Exactly.
peaches.
I rewatched
want
that
them so
recently.
bad.
I did too.
Great movie.
It's such a great movie. I'm
So
tired of this,
good.
Grandpa.
I said that to my mom the other day.
She's done so many iconic roles
Yeah.
and including this one. And I don't know, I just love that she has this superpower of one making beautiful, accurate miniatures. Another horror movie with miniatures. They all should have them.
I
Honestly.
agree.
You'd love to
Keeps
see it.
coming back. But I love the opening part with her first dream sequence when she goes into the house, which is the OG Nightmare on Elm Street house. Is that do I see Johnny Depp for 5 seconds hanging as a dead body in there? Because
Maybe
there
as a
was one of those
dummy.
dead bodies looked like Johnny Depp to me, and I was like,
It's
is it? It's probably they probably just like it's not probably actually him, but
But it
looked
could be.
like it
Mhm.
But it
looked
could
like
be
his
Glenn.
dead body. Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
like Glenn, and I
Wouldn't
got
be
really
the first
excited.
time.
Was he wearing
Yeah.
a crop top?
It was real quick. It was real quick.
Like a
so I
jersey
couldn't.
crop top?
I know. I should have rewound to see if the crop top was there. I love that crop top.
Mm.
But yeah, I think the concept for this movie is, though fucked up and wrong in many ways, is a slay.
Yeah.
There's just like it's a really interesting entry point for the movie to like have it be set in this other place with all these kids that are having this shared experience, and they're all kids, so no one fucking believes them with what they're saying, which is same thing as all the rest of the movies, but now even in a more intense scenario because they're literally institutionalized.
Yeah.
And so like the people's trust in them has already been taken away enough to put them in this situation, which is fucked up because we know what's actually going on. But at least, even though they're having a really hard time and all their friends are dying and they're being terrorized in their dreams, at least Lawrence Fishburne, young, sexy Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah.
is
He looks
there
really hot in this
orderly. He's
movie.
Yeah.
so hot. Oh my god,
He
that
is.
necklace.
Relax.
Delicious.
And he cares about his charges.
It's
Got
so
that deep
important
voice.
for
Mm.
us as a group of people, the whole world, to be reminded that Lawrence Fishburne is not just an incredible actor, he's also a certified hottie. Because I've
Mhm.
only seen him in his older age and he's still very handsome then, but like, whew. Hello,
Yeah,
Lawrence.
sometimes it is nice to remind the people that men, in fact, are objects and should be objectified. So,
Please forget his
Well-
talent and look at his body. Thank you.
exactly.
It's an equal playing field.
Mm. I might start. No, I'm not going to make that joke. Let's just say I'm going to end up in a hospital and, maybe just for Lawrence Fishburne. I'd do it. I'd be like, Matt.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me go.
Look, some people are having accidents, okay? Some people are maybe not doing anything on purpose. But yeah, I mean, I think that is also an interesting element of the film because per IMDb trivia, which I just kind of skimmed for this movie because there was so much of it, and also so much of it I felt like a random person just signed on and wrote something without really, it didn't necessarily feel super legit this time around.
No pressure, but if you're
Um,
wrong, I'll tell you.
Okay, but
Please, that's
Yeah,
why we have you here to
we're
fact
doing
check
we're doing a
us.
fact check IMDb trivia right now. Go.
Well, this is more about like the culture of the 80s than it is like the franchise specifically. Although I did notice some contradictions about the franchise in there. About who stole the Freddy glove for one of them. But what I was bringing up right now is that teen suicidality, I guess, was like a taboo topic in the 80s. And so they were wary of how to handle that in this film because, again, it is so much of the film. But they decided that, okay, this part you can weigh on. In an original script, it was like teens were going to a certain location and they were all dying by suicide in that location. And then it was later discovered they were all dreaming about Freddy. And they pivoted away from that. I don't know, again, could be totally made up. They pivoted away from that. And so this approach was deemed like okay because it shows more explicitly that actually none of them are dying by suicide and none of them are experiencing suicidal ideation. It's just that Freddy is making it look like that.
They're
so like
all actually
it's
being
just
murdered.
normal murder. Yeah, which is totally cool as a topic and like way less taboo
We love
and
murder.
like fun even maybe. Yeah. So
Yeah, good times.
Everybody loves teens getting murdered.
Oh, heck
Well-
yeah. It's a normal Friday night.
that's the horror genre, baby. But yeah, I thought it was interesting the way they were like, well, it's cool if we just like kind of come at it from the side. That's a good way in.
I think that they're right with that. It does make it a lot less fucked up because they're like, oh, okay, things are really bleak. All of these people, like,
Yeah.
I don't blame the mom, though she is a bitch. I'm so sorry. What's her name? What is Kristen's mom's name?
Mrs. Kristen's mom.
Hold
Yeah.
Mrs.
on.
Kristen, Elaine.
Why? Elaine, yeah.
Oh,
No,
what a lovely
she
name.
sucks.
Fuck
She's
her.
really giving Tina's mom from the first movie.
She sucks hardcore. But also, you know, Freddy is doing a convincing job of it making it look like these kids are attempting.
Yeah, well, we see
She literally has a
Kristen
razor
come
blade in her
too.
hand.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
rough. That's difficult to talk your way out of.
The creativity of the weird freaky things that Freddy can do is always so incredible, but I love that his head was the mirror and his arms were the little knobs on the sink in that part.
Yes.
Incredible.
And then they had little
the thing
razor
coming out with
blades.
the razor, like his claws coming out of the knob. It was beautiful. I love the practical effects in this. A fact that I read was that they put like 90% of the budget just towards the special effects. They're just like,
Well,
go
they
crazy.
had to dial down the special effects and the overall script a lot because they just didn't have it would have been like a $20 million budget to make the movie that they wanted to originally, and they had like a $4.5 million budget.
It just looks so good. Like the practical effects look so awesome. If this was CGI or whatever,
It was
would just be
before
stupid.
CGI. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
I
sure
know,
they were
but-
still doing whatever it was at the time, but
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that like this movie can't be recreated like with CGI. Like you could, but I would hate it.
We
Give me
know how that turned
claymation.
out for some of the practical effects when they remade the first movie. That CGI was not good. I'm assuming it's
Ugh.
better, but it's not as good as practical. I mean, to think that the small budget and all the things that they did with like spray paint and duct tape back in the day is
Yeah.
just incredible. I mean, you're right.
more
That scene
impressive.
looks so cool. It is. And it looks
Yeah.
way more realistic.
there's something
And-
really unsettling about it, even when it doesn't look realistic, though. You know what I mean? Because like you're
Yeah.
looking at a computer image that's like maybe it looks realistic and maybe is unsettling, but you're like, I know that they just like made this in Photoshop or whatever. And then you see something like this where Taryn's gaping wounds are like winking at the camera. You know what I mean? And you're
Oh
like,
God.
Oh,
that part-
that
Oh,
how
yeah.
did they even do
Weird
this?
little
You know, so it's
butthole
like it's way
things.
creepier and weirder and grosser.
Mhm.
I love like practical effects for body horror. I think are the best, the very
Yes.
best. 'Cause this, and I love how everything looks like it's made of like clay and stuff too. Because I don't know, this is just the reality of. There's literally claymation in it. Of course, there's that part too, which is my favorite part of the entire movie. That
I
was
knew it would
amazing.
be.
I'm not ready for that yet, but that's my favorite part. But like also like Freddy's like face and stuff too. I know that he is a burn victim. But he has sort of that claymation-y look to him just naturally the way they did the makeup. So I feel like when they use that type of stuff for the practical effects, it just seems like an extension of him even more. So I feel like just specifically for Freddy Krueger, like this type of effects work is just perfect. It's him. And
Yeah.
he's always wiggling and woggling in different shapes. And so it's got to be practical. Come on.
He's a very wiggly man. Yeah, I totally agree.
Oh God, he's so good. I think I was really shocked by. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it now because we already started talking about claymation.
Okay.
and now I want to
Go
think
for
about
it.
that one is just so fucked up on so many different levels. I missed at first that that character. What is his name?
Philip?
Joey? Philip. Sorry, not Joey. Joey's our cutie little.
Joy's the one who doesn't speak.
Yeah. Philip is a whittler by trade. So I missed that part the first time I watched it, that he's like carving things and making these puppets and that sort of a thing. So it's even more fucked up that like one of his own unfinished creations is what's coming to life. And
so sad.
I loved the way that it looked. I loved the way that it looked so much. And I cannot believe that he pulled fucking ligaments out of his arms and legs and turned him into a marionette. That's fucked up. That's actually really
Okay,
scary.
That was
It is, but also I for sure thought Freddy was
Cosplay.
cutting his dick off at first. He was like, and you couldn't see what was happening as he was lying there. Like, I was like, Freddy is cutting his dick off.
Like first kill, they're cutting his dick off.
First kill, dick cut off. It's
We're
not
having a dick
beyond
off,
Freddy.
guys.
He is a child molester. Okay, like
That's
he
true.
would. There's nothing.
Freddy
that's
has
too,
his limits.
Too bad for him.
He's like, I don't know about that. I know what that would feel like. He's like, I'm surprised he
He's
never did it though.
sympathetic.
Yeah, it's the one area. It's the one. He'll do everything.
He
That's
hasn't
too
crossed
far
that
for Freddy.
But cut off
Okay,
a pee-pee.
Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
No pee-pee castration.
No, not at all. Did you guys ever?
Huh?
Okay, so that kill with Philip.
Okay.
Sometimes when I watch horror movies, I think about like I get like empathy, like
Yeah.
physical
You're just having
empathy.
sympathy pains.
Yeah, and I watch that when all of it's coming out, and I just like can kind of figure out in my brain what that feels
Yeah.
like, and watching it is
Oh.
like so hard because
No.
it's like one of those moments. I don't know
I
if
don't
anybody else
usually
has
get that, but I did get that watching House of Wax back in the day, and I did feel like my ankle and my little tip of my finger.
That's what I was just gonna
They
bring
were in
up.
trouble for a long time after that movie.
Those sort of like ligament things like that. I don't know. Something about ligaments. Ugh, so gross. Also horrifying for me. I went to UCLA and this whole institution is UCLA. So that was so fun to watch him be thrown from a tower that I walked by at school all the time. That was really horrific imagery. Also, Diandra, just so you know, I live across the street from John Marshall High School, which was the high school in the first,
What?
in the first one, and so in like the opening credits for or not the opening credits, when the little girls are on the lawn in front of the school and they're singing, it shows my literal house that I am in right now in
What?
in the opening sequence. It's not
Monica
like
loves to dox herself on the internet.
I love to
It's
dox
fine.
myself.
I
I'm gonna
know,
get
I'm like, Sydney, cut this out.
Knock knock.
and so
Well,
everybody knows.
they're
Well,
coming. They're
more people
coming.
listen now than they did when we did A Nightmare on Elm Street. Whatever. So that was so scary to me. The first time I ever watched this, I was having a supplement,
a
Well,
movie
I-
going supplement.
Mhm,
If you know what we mean.
Yeah,
and
something
I
special.
was so scared because I was like, "Am I in the movie?" And then this one,
Yeah.
and then this one is at my school. I don't know. It's following me. Also, a
We're actually
Monica.
from Springwood, by the
They're pulling
way.
you in the movie.
I forgot that Nancy's character has that like white stripe thing, and I
Uh-huh.
have that in my hair in the exact same place. So me and Heather
Oh
Lange
my
can't.
god.
man.
Wow. And I had that body horror dream last night. So anyway, just saying.
Yeah,
Somebody
you
Something's
have
come
happening
that
check
over
on
there.
me
Nightmare
tomorrow.
5. Yeah, there's something going on here. I would
There's something
probably
going
keep an eye
on.
on that. If the earthquakes start getting worse in Southern California, I would start worrying
It'll be
about.
Monica's fault.
It's
Yeah.
my fault. Yeah.
Wow.
I just love a connection. I love when I see
Mhm.
UCLA on the screen. It makes me very excited, but I did not love that part. It's just so frustrating too because I love Kincaid so much. I think he is so funny and he says the funniest things I've ever heard in my life, like when he calls Freddy a pussy or something. I don't know. That was
Yeah,
he's
that was
he's
great.
got great one-liners and I like how
Yeah.
angry he is. And apparently he got the job because he was pissed off because he got stuck in the rain and then his invite or his not interview
Audition.
thank you, was super delayed. And so they're like, say whatever you want once you get in here for your audition. Sorry, we were late. And he just like cursed them out.
You, yeah.
Yep.
And that's how he got it. So he's got beautiful rage range, if you will. But you guys are all being terrorized by a nightmare demon, and you're watching this man walk away. You're watching your friend walk down the street, walk out of the room, all weird like, and that's how much you're gonna try to save his life. You're just gonna be like, hey, wake up. And then he doesn't wake up and you just let him go. Furious. Get up
Have an
there and
ass
shake
stroll,
him.
asshole.
Come on. And then the
Yeah.
next day he was like, he was too weak, and that's why he died.
Sure.
So insensitive.
Kincaid. He was
Kincaid says he
projecting.
was too weak.
Kincaid is like, yeah, he says he was
He couldn't
was
hack
like,
it, so he got
he
nailed.
couldn't hack it. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I
Victim
can
blaming.
I know, so inappropriate.
sad. I can understand to a degree why he was like underreacting when Philip was first getting up and walking around, because they establish when Kristen is like checked in and meeting all the characters that it's like, this is Philip, he's a sleepwalker. But it is also like, okay, but you guys are all having these dreams and you acknowledge that you're all having these dreams, and like nobody is validating for you yet that this is a real phenomenon that you're engaging in together. But you'd think that they would make some connections on their own before it got to that point. I mean, I guess they do the next day and when they're all shouting at the window, but I mean, I guess Kincaid's perspective is just like, I've been having Freddy dreams and I'm still here. So if he's not still here, it's because he's not built like
Weak.
I am.
Big tough guy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's because
He is very
Freddy
strong.
there's only one Freddy, and he can only kill so many people at one time. Okay, so that's why
And
he
he's
hasn't come to
strong
you
now
yet.
because he's got all the little faces all over his torso. He's absorbed all of those children's souls.
Which was
That
giving
was
society.
Oh, nasty. Yeah.
There were a lot of good references in this movie. Most of them from other properties to this movie. Like Stranger Things season 4, I knew was very Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was not until I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3 that I realized how much. Because they're doing like the dream horror thing, but like Kristen's dream where she has like the rotting pig feast, that is very much exactly the same imagery as in the Chrissy Cunningham like dream in the first episode. And then Freddy's like red hell lounge was very like Vecna's red lair or whatever.
Ooh, yeah.
But another one that is recent for us, I'm probably not, well, I don't know, maybe it could be a direct reference, but I saw the TV glow. There's that
Yes.
moment where he's like in the TV, and Jennifer in this movie, she's got that moment.
That is also one of my favorite kills in this movie. Oh my god. Love her. She just wants to be a star, but also let us give a shout out where it is due. Zsa Zsa Gabor being in
When
this
I saw her
movie.
name in the credits, I was like, Zsa
Right?
Zsa Gabor's in this movie.
I was like, where is she gonna show up? And then I forgot what she looked like, so I thought that the lady who played the mom was her for a second. I was like, no, I'm getting like her age completely
They look
confused.
similar.
Holy
And
Hot
Dick
shit.
Cavett.
calves.
I totally forgot Dick Cavett was also in Beetlejuice. So when I rewatched it before seeing the second one, I was
Oh.
like, oh my God, that's the same.
He's-
Oh my God, he's in Beetlejuice. Yeah.
He's a
When
down
he says
bitch.
Celia, your flag. Yeah, he is, man.
I love that about him. Wait, who is
Mhm.
Well,
he
he's
in
kind of
Beetlejuice?
In Beetlejuice, he's the guy. What is it? Who is the one that Delia tries to get there, and he says, "Delia, you're a flake. You've always been a flake." What
Oh,
was
is
that
that her
character's
agent?
name? I think so. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. We just did Beetlejuice in August, and I didn't catch that he was in that.
I honestly, I know the name, but I don't really. I know he had a TV show. I feel like I only really know who he is because when we did Late Night with the Devil, they said that Dick Cavett was like one of their big inspirations for like talk shows. And I wrote down the name incorrectly, and then I Googled it later to find out who they were talking about. But he apparently his
I think you guys can
cameo.
see that right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
He apparently in this movie, he's the one that picked out Zsa Zsa Gabor for that scene, but it seems like it was not done in a very nice way. He said, per IMDb trivia, I would never say this about Zsa Zsa Gabor, but he said that Zsa Zsa Gabor is like the dumbest person he ever met, and so he picked somebody who he would never have on his show in real life, who he was happy to have killed on his show in the movie. So
oh
not,
my God, that's so
Wow.
not nice,
Yeah.
Dick.
Horrible.
But also, I don't know much about Zsa Zsa Gabor other than great name, and she's famous for being Zsa Zsa Gabor. You know, so
Yeah.
I can't
She
really weigh
seems
in
like
on
a
the Zsa Zsa
happy,
Gabor of it
great
all.
person, honestly.
She was.
I mean,
She did the
she's an
cameo.
icon.
She could have said
Yeah.
no. You know what I mean? She
Mhm.
seems like also a down bitch.
What a good
Exactly. That's
sport.
the most important
Mhm.
thing. Being a down
100%.
bitch.
good.
Mm.
Oh, but that line, the iconic line from Freddy here was totally ad-libbed, apparently. The like, what is it? Get ready for prime time, bitch, or something like
Oh
that.
that was
Welcome
so
that made it
good.
into
Welcome
my
to
top 10
prime
loved.
time, bitch. Oh
The
my God.
excessive use of bitch in this movie, I did love. It did
I
speak to
did
me.
love that. I love
Bitch
that
seems
so
like
Yeah.
a Freddy. Like if Freddy was to own
Yeah.
any cuss word, it is
Yeah, it'd
bitch.
be bitch. 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the movie when he really started going hard on the bitch. And then after that, it was
Yeah.
always bitch. And you're like, yes, bitch. You
Yes,
know?
bitch.
Mm.
Freddy's
Okay,
that
bitch.
bitch.
Yeah.
Welcome
Well,
to prime
also,
time,
this
bitch.
Slay. This is the movie where he goes exclusively by Freddy the whole movie. In all the other
Mhm.
movies, they were still doing Fred Krueger sometimes,
Yeah.
but he's established
No,
Freddy
we're
now.
homies with Freddy. We can call him Freddy.
Guys,
That's
the
my
third
point.
movie.
We're
on
there. By the
the
third
same
movie,
level.
we're there. Calling him Fred is disgusting to me. Sorry. He's a
He
Freddy.
really does not have Fred vibes.
No,
No.
it's too serious. He's too silly for that.
He's a goofy
Yeah,
guy.
he's
a
He's a silly
little
guy.
cute.
Little silly guy with those wiggly arms.
I
He's
can't.
a nickname guy for sure.
Oh,
And I
100%.
love the name Freddy. I don't like
Mhm.
Freddy
It's a
is
good
just such a great name.
I love that he had the antenna from the TV on his head still.
And they're
when
both
he
like,
became the
"Ugh."
TV. It's so good. And
I
his
love the like old
technological
TV.
arms.
Mhm.
Period.
Oh my God. Poor Max. He was like, I just wanted that bitch to watch some television and to have a good
Yeah.
night. And then she somehow, how would they explain that one? How do they
Well-
explain that one as a suicide? She jumps up and smashes her head into the television. She was like
I
hanging from the TV by 2 feet.
Girl,
I
Right.
did
that's
notice that
athletic.
they didn't actually say that she died by suicide. They just said we'd have 2 people die. One kid died by suicide. So they kind of are just like glossing over that without really having to acknowledge how
just gonna
difficult it would
ignore.
be. Yeah, they just kind of are like, she died. And there's lots of
Bummer.
suicides going on. You can make the connections yourself from
So
there, but
weird.
we won't say it. So they kind of left a little wiggle room for themselves there on that
Mhm.
one.
Oh, do you think that Wes Craven was quoting himself with Stu's death, not actual death, hopefully, in Scream? Because they also TV head explosion thing. Anyway, something to think about. Something to think about.
Something to think about.
Something to think about. Stu, I love you. Thinking about you all the time.
Always thinking
Um,
about Stu.
Mhm.
Okay, here's someone we need to think about because we're not thinking about her enough. And I guess we should think about him too. What's going on with Nancy and Neil? What is going on there?
They're fucking
Can
girl.
Yeah, it's so like, yes, they are, but it just, whoa.
I
Oh my
that
God.
that was strange.
That-
I didn't even touch that, but obviously,
hand, girl.
everything new. I cannot stand Neil. He is my least favorite character. I don't know if it's the fact that he's touching Nancy and I'm like, don't touch her. Do not touch her.
That.
Shit is an
Yeah.
angel, saint, baby. Don't touch her. And she's going through all this shit, trying to get shit done. You're over here distracting her. Now, in the original script, I sound like such a like know-it-all, but
No,
they
I want to hear
actually
this.
okay, so Neil, what was it? It's been a while since I read it. I've wanted to reread it, but there's like some conversation about a Greyhound bus, and I think Nancy was going to catch a Greyhound bus, but then he like took her back to his place, and then there was like some sexual stuff going on. And Neil was like more of a buff man, like more of an a-hole in that script, which I'm glad we didn't get that version. But then they went the opposite way, and he's like such a little weenie. Like when he's there and he's like, Dr. Neil Gordon, there, now we've met, and he like flips the table. I'm like, just go away. Just go away.
Neil, stop.
He's acting so weird
He's
because he
gotta be
meets her.
tough.
He meets her and he's like, automatically, he's like, oh shit, I'm horny for this grad student. I'll be weird about it. So it doesn't
Yeah.
actually happen. And then it
That was
immediately
still
happened.
allowed then. Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
as soon
God.
as they put their arms around each other at the funeral, I was like, okay, vibes just really switched up.
Yeah. I feel like they deleted a scene where we're supposed to see where like
Where they bonded, other than
explicitly-
him handing her prescription and going,
I know.
And then they like touch and they're like, oh.
oh, maybe it was that touch.
One touch was all it took.
Look,
Their
when you feel the
fingers.
sparks fly, Monica.
That's
who are they
giving
to deny
Twilight.
it?
She touched his skin and she was like,
Oh God. Oh, not with Neil. Oh no.
You
So
know who
sorry.
Neil reminded me of though? And for a second when he was off screen, I was like, is it the same actor? And then I saw him again and I was like, oh, no, it's not. But he reminded me of you know what? His name might also be Neil, the stepdad from the Santa Claus, who is a therapist.
Oh, yes.
His name is Neil. His
Oh
name
my
is
God.
Neil.
Maybe
Judge
that's what was
Reinhold's
happening.
character.
Yeah, Judge
Yeah.
Reinhold.
Yeah,
Neil to
Judge
Neil.
Reinhold. Yeah, there's
I-
something
Also kind
about
of a
that name
bitch.
I just don't like.
Something's going on in the Neilverse.
Mm.
I feel like also Neil's just Neil isn't it. Neil is not it. He's more it than the other lady who's in charge
Yeah.
of
Oh,
the
yeah.
hospital. I'll
But
say that.
Still.
But like their romance half baked. Sorry.
It is.
So, it's half baked, but also I feel like part of it was to be like, but now you believe that Nancy is much, much older than these other children here,
Children.
right? It definitely has been 6 years, not 3 years, since the first movie came out. And look, we dressed her like a grandmother. And
That's
so
exactly
she's
what it is.
definitely older, right? Like,
So
wow.
She's
funny
so
thing
mature.
about her. Yeah. So
So mature.
they didn't know that Mick Strawn and his sister were a part of like the special effects and stuff. And they didn't remember that the first movie Nancy had a gray streak. So they were like, we're going to make her look older, but we're going to put the gray streak in her hair, not knowing that she had one in the first one. And that's why it's
That's
on
her
the
whole
opposite
thing.
side. I know. I'm like, do
Oh.
you guys not like watch the first movie and be like, we better get this right. We better look at this stuff and see if there's any inconsistencies. I mean, that's what I would think. But I guess they were just like, we got to get this done. We've got a little bit of a budget. We've got a little, special
Well-
effects team. Let's just go for it. But
It sounds
You
like it
know-
was crazy
Yeah.
on set making this movie.
Yeah.
And there was, this is one of the ones on IMDb trivia that I was like, that cannot be right. And I don't know who wrote this. But one of them was like, at one point making this movie, Robert Englund was working 24 hours a day, every day. And I was like, that's all of the hours. So that, I don't believe you.
He was working on 2 different projects. So he was working
he was-
on this one and then
So he
another
was
one.
working
He
24
never
hours a
slept.
day, every day for a week during filming. I was like, no, he wasn't. But Patricia Arquette also at another point, it was just like filming ran so late on her first day, they didn't even start shooting her scene till like 4 a.m. She's forgetting her lines. They're ending up like feeding it to her through cue cards. So it just sounds like maybe it was a rush production, maybe they were
Mhm.
just like lagging behind. But it is
Well, I
really
think they
interesting
had-
that they independently came to the conclusion that 6 years later she would have a gray streak just through normal aging.
She's just that old, you
I
know?
know.
As
That's what
someone
happens
who's
to everyone.
only 6 years older than a high school student myself, I too have a
Right?
gray
You know
streak
what?
in
That's
my
a
hair.
compelling
So
point.
it's very believable,
So compelling.
actually. I just her fashion, I know what 80s fashion is, okay? I'm wearing all of my mother's clothes right now so I can do this Nancy look, and these
Done
are
a good
all
job.
authentic. Thank you so much.
Mm,
These are all
mhm.
authentic clothes from the 80s. So I know that these particular things were in style then. But God, she looked so dowdy in so many of these outfits. She so
Fugly.
fugly, matronly,
Wow.
Better
but
than the first one.
Harsh.
well, okay,
I'm
then
glad
you're
somebody
right.
was
I
brave
forgot.
enough
Cute
to
in the
say it.
first one.
Has
Remember
she
Tina looked so
always-
cute?
She's always
Maybe that's her
she always
style.
kind of
Yeah.
had like a granny style then, because I couldn't
Yeah.
really recall what she wore. She went granny extreme on this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just who she is, and who am I to judge? Personal style is a journey,
I'm
and
judging.
Speaking of personal style, can we talk about how Taryn is beautiful and bad in the dream world?
oh my
That
God.
hair.
In my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad. Okay, girl, slay. I love
Okay.
that.
That was so good. Also, something about that actress. What is her name?
Jennifer Rubin.
Jennifer
yeah.
Rubin. She, I feel like, looks like Melissa Barrera to me. Like something about the way her
Hmm.
eyes are set in her face. Like obviously they're not the same, not exactly the same. They look completely different in many ways, but like just similar facial structure in a lot of ways too. So I was just like taken aback by that. But I'm obsessed with her, and I feel so bad for her and the way that she is treated in this movie. Who the fuck is that orderly guy who's like, you want drugs right now? What the fuck? Why
Oh, he
can't everyone be? I
sucks.
got
Oh,
Fishburne.
what
He
an
was gonna come
asshole.
back for sure. I thought there was gonna be more with him, but I guess he was just establishing her former drug problem.
I wish he would have been collateral damage, honestly, because
I
that dude needed
know.
to
That would have been
go.
great.
Mm.
Yeah,
If
I don't.
anybody's gonna die, why can't it be the creepy drug dealing aficionado on like
Totally.
there's this terrible man right there. He's just gonna pop up for 1 second, then never be
Freddie
seen
didn't
again.
because he was like one of my own.
Yeah. Oh, my friend. Actually, we're
Yeah.
colleagues. So yeah.
He's like, from pedophile to pedophile, you're my guy. But like, I feel like that was there just to make you more sad later, because we already knew that she had a previous drug problem because Kincaid was a real douchebag about it. Once again, Kincaid being a douche, love him, but be nice. He already like ran his mouth about that earlier. I feel like that scene was to be like, look, she is not falling prey to that anymore.
She won't do it.
She won't, even when it's right there for her to do, she won't do it, which makes her death later on all the more fucked up.
It's like trying to say that people who have that problem always end up like going back to it. It's just like
Mhm.
it's such a
Ugh.
tearjerker moment. And that's also
It's
another
so-
thing of how do you describe like waking up and the only person alive in that room is is like Kincaid.
yeah.
You
It
know?
just, I was surprised by the people who died in this movie. They really went for the ones that would make you the most sad. I don't
Mhm.
know. I mean, I didn't expect what's his name? The guy who doesn't talk. Johnny.
Joey.
Joey.
Joey. Fuck. Sorry. I'm just saying any old timey sounding name.
Joey.
Johnny.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny, little Johnny. No, Joey. I didn't expect Joey to live, but they really just came to kill you. They're like, oh, Taryn, she overcame her drug problem. Psych, here is a horrific death. And then also they're like, do you feel joy by this boy? Will, it's Will, right? Who
Yeah.
believes in
The wizard?
himself when he's in the dream world and that he has magic powers and he can walk again. How about we just kill him and kill your joy? I was so sad. I was like, not Will, and not with the fucking evil chair. The evil chair was also mean. The evil
IMDb
wheelchair.
trivia said that this is the first Nightmare movie where Freddy is specifically using his victims' weaknesses against them, which I think you can really see in this movie. And I also felt like that was like a big influence on Stranger Things season 4. Especially all the D&D stuff with little nerd Will also.
So true.
But I feel a little bit like that is Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Erasure, where he was like, oh, you want to kiss this hot guy? Guess what? Freddy's here. So, like, look, there were some, being gay is a strength, actually. It's not a weakness.
Yeah.
But
There's things about them.
it
It's
was
not
a
a weakness.
vulnerability that he exploited in the second movie too. But again, the canon nature of it, because in the second one, and I could be just misremembering this because I went to look on Wikipedia and I don't think that I found what I was looking for. But in the second one, they go to that factory at the end, and I thought that also had something to do with like Freddy's remains or something, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it's just random factory. I don't.
It's where he took his kids.
Oh,
That's what it was. He's got a lot of nasty little landmarks associated with him that I don't
Big and
love.
dirty.
It's just
So
kinda
interesting
icky.
that they just hid the charred remains in a car trunk and in an abandoned car lot.
Sometimes that's where
I
what
won't say
you
it's
have
mean,
to
where
do.
else are you gonna put
hiding
it?
place. Yeah, I won't say that they weren't thinking, because I mean, still there all these years later, and also like, yeah, maybe it is kind of a slight. I don't know.
I just feel like in the universe of A Nightmare on Elm Street, God is a bitch if he exists because they cursed all of these parents for killing a pedophile and like
Right.
sent the curse upon their children. And I'm just like, okay, but like that guy was Freddy was really bad. He was a really bad guy. So that sucks. I mean, but murder is bad even when you kill someone who's bad. Just as a reminder to our listeners. Yes,
Okay.
Kelsey.
Again, don't
I
know
see
if
your
this is true.
claws.
Thank you, thank you. IMDb trivia said both John Saxon and Robert Englund, who play Nancy's dad and Freddy Krueger, respectively, wrote what ended up being unused story treatments for this movie. And John Saxon's idea was that it was like gonna be a prequel that would reveal that actually Freddy was innocent, and falsely confessed under duress, being faced with an angry mob of parents. And that's why he's coming back and getting his revenge and blah, 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 because actually the Manson family did those murders, was his idea.
Freddy getting his lick back.
Which is an interesting concept, but Freddy is a little freak, and they established that very early on in the first one. He is trying to make out with Nancy through that phone.
Yeah. I love it when Freddy, I love that idea that Freddy's always guilty. I know they've tossed it around, and even when they talked about the remake, they're like, what if he was innocent? And I'm like, no.
Have
Freddy
you met him?
is the worst.
He is pretty despicable.
He is so disgusting throughout. He's consistently disgusting, which I love that he's so consistent. Love that for him. But I just feel like the innocence of this fictional Freddy who didn't do anything would be like immediately negated because he gets so freaky in the afterlife. Like, yes, he said, "Oh, you want a freak?
I'll give you a freak."
Now, you said I was a pervy, disgusting fuck. Now I am one.
Watch
like, okay.
Me.
It's like, actually very I'll always know what you did last summer, and then they created the monster they were afraid of.
Yes, of course.
Chelsea created a beautiful theory for a movie that is a garbage can to make it a better movie, and we're running with it.
I also want to shout out Chelsea acting like she's got like some sick nails. Like she with that glove acts like me whenever I have nails on, just
When you've
constantly
got your
talking with it and moving it
press-ons.
around.
Yeah.
That's what these
Do
are.
I,
I'm
should I
like,
get these in frame?
she's over there like,
Yeah.
Looking so powerful.
When you have
My
your,
nails?
your long nails on and you're like, does anybody need a back scratch? Because now's the time.
Whenever my nails are grown out, I'm like tapping the table like so
Mhm,
impatient, you know? You should try that.
You
Too
hear?
bad our mics get rid of the background noise. No.
ASMR.
Right.
We can't do ASMR on these mics. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
I
They
know.
will
tried
not
before.
pick up
Our
that
mics
kind
are
of
bad
sound.
for it.
Yeah, no, you'd have to have a different type of mic to be ASMR
I'm gonna get one
stars.
of the ones that has the ears on it so that I can do speak directly into the ears all episode long.
And
That'd
just
be
like
cool.
lick them.
Yeah,
I'm not-
I think that would really make this
I'm
podcast
coming
take
through
off.
the
I
microphone,
think
like
that's what
trying to lick Chelsea.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's what we need to take this
I'm
podcast to the
so-
next level.
Is that what happens in ASMR? Like
That's
is,
what happens in ASMR.
is that what
yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
that's what ASMR is.
I've only
I'll
watched
send you
that
some
one.
stuff.
Okay, I'm scared. I've only watched that one ASMR video where the really famous girl does it to Phoebe Bridgers.
Phoebe Bridgers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Love
the
that
only one
one.
I've watched. And
Well,
then I
did
watched
you watch
part
it all
of
the way
one.
through? Because there's the part where she licks Phoebe's ears.
I did watch it, and that didn't happen. So don't gaslight me. Of course, I watched the whole 30 minutes of Phoebe Bridgers' face looking relaxed. Of course,
getting hair brushed. Yeah.
I did see one other one though, where there was like a nurse and you were the patient, and I got really scared and I turned it off. So I know it can get weird, and I'm sure ear licking came soon after I turned it off. Wouldn't be
Ear licking
surprised.
is very, I just have to tell you guys, I'm going to confess this on your podcast. I
I'm
listen
ready.
to ASMR to go to bed. I don't do
Yeah.
a lot of the ones or like the licking because it just really freaks me out. Or like
That
eating. People make
mouth
the eating
noise.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It
not
throws me
soothing.
Well,
off.
there's
to me.
actually, there's a whole variety of, there's a,
Yeah.
little mukbang in there.
That's what it
that
is.
came through really clearly. So
Thank
you've
you.
got a good
Yeah.
ASMR
You've
mic.
got an ASMR mic.
I'm a slime
Ooh.
girl. I'm a
Ooh.
soap
What your
cutting
genre is
ASMR
over
girly.
there.
Ooh, soap
Yeah.
cutting.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
soap
everybody's
cutting.
got their own different little spheres for sure.
Mhm.
I will be
Freddy
like,
Krueger ASMR right now.
oh, you should start that. You would probably be a big
You would
hit.
slay that.
I
I'll
have
be
a thing
like-
for the glove. I know.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
have
say, I'm sure you have your own.
I have a metal one, and I sometimes like it's
Ooh.
just I think that was the first ASMR I ever got into because I used to watch just videos of people moving their glove, and I was like, yes,
Yeah, it's giving you the tingles.
I
was like,
love that.
what does this mean? And then, yeah, then I found ASMR shortly after that, but I just love the sound of the glove. So who knows? Maybe.
Clickety clacking.
This is slightly
Mm.
unrelated, but it's about Freddy. I think that
Mhm.
you should do a video that's like, here's my closet, and it's all of the Freddy Krueger related clothing items that you have, because I was
Ooh.
so impressed by just the several outfits I saw at Midsummer Scream. And so I can only imagine the other multitude of things that you have. And I'm really impressed. I'm very impressed that you have so many amazing, like
Thanks,
cool pieces of clothing, not just like whatever, like it's like cute and it's Freddy.
I appreciate that. I think I have like 5 Freddy sweaters and then like a cardigan and then this jersey. Just like the Freddy pattern alone. And that doesn't even cover
a
the
good
t-shirts. I think yeah, I know. I love the red and green. I don't care what anybody says about Christmas.
I like
It's the perfect
horizontal
Christmas
stripe.
sweater.
It is. Everyone's
Yeah.
like dress up for Christmas and I'm like Freddy
Okay.
sweater. Yeah.
You're already ready. I love that.
Mm.
Here's something about the movie. I thought
Okay.
maybe we could talk about
Yes.
it. The dad, what is his name? Dad.
Don.
Lieutenant Thompson.
Lieutenant Thompson dad. I hated
Daddy.
what happened with him. I hated what happened to Daddy. I hated that
Mhm.
Daddy what became a drunkard who won't even give Nancy 5 seconds of his time.
Nancy's the one avoiding him, okay?
I know, but the vibes were weird. And so when they killed him, I was like, okay, well, at least he did something for her at the end there. that part was that's the whole side plot. Like, I guess they had to give Neil something to do, you know?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, I thought it was very interesting in this movie that Nancy says that her mom died in her sleep. And I was wondering what the implications of that are exactly within the context of the first movie, where like we see her get pulled into the bed, but then also we have the scene after that where Nancy's like, actually, everything's great because I saw the TV Glow reference. Freddy Krueger is like the Drain Lords, and if you just don't give him any of your energy, he has no power. But then obviously the tub comes up and it's Freddy, and then they pull her through the door. They pull the very obvious mannequin through the door window. Which is like kind of also I know what you did last summer related in that there's always like the final jump scare, and it's like, is it real? Is it not real? Depends on if there's another movie or not. And
I really like these voices.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I assume what they are implying about the first one as well is obviously that scene wasn't real, but like when Marge gets pulled into the bed, is that when she dies in her sleep? Is it unrelated? Do we like, we don't really actually get any resolution for
We
the
don't
characters of that
actually-
movie, and then we
yeah.
just kind of, Nancy
But
comes
she
back.
never comes back, right? She's not in the
We
second
know
one.
we know she dies, but we don't know, like Nancy says she dies in her sleep, which to me has always been like, Nancy's not going to be like, yeah, my mother got killed in her sleep by this freaky man that I'm actually here
That's-
investigating. So
that's
she
what I
said
took
she
it
died
as.
in her sleep. But at the same time, you go back to part 2 and they're like, she died in this living room, and you're like, wait, did like most of the second half of like the end of Nightmare 1 not happen? Because she went to bed, but she was in the living room before that. So it's kind of like, if she, it's up for
Mm.
debate as to where Marge died. We don't actually know.
It's like, what actually happened to her?
Well,
Yeah,
also, I looked back at my notes from the first movie, and I thought that Marge was such a hottie, and so I just kept being like, hot mom in my notes. And then there's a moment where they reveal that she has addiction issues, especially with alcohol, and I was like, wait, what? Because I had not seen that coming, but they were like, yeah, that's been here the whole time. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so it felt like kind of a polite way to allude to that as well, to be like, oh, she died in her sleep, is very to me vibes of like she drank herself to death, especially if there's been ongoing Freddy Krueger related murders that she's, because that was the whole thing in 1, is that like that was why she was an alcoholic, because she had all of this guilt from killing this man, and then the dad is like separated and like not buying into any of it. He's like still here not buying into it, now he's a drunk I don't know, it was like a whole, these people do not have good coping skills.
I mean,
Do
the guilt
better.
of killing someone, I can imagine, would plague you.
Watching a man burn alive, no matter how horrible he is, maybe
You know what, honestly,
traumatizing. Anybody
It
Yeah,
makes
really
me
done
want
that
to eat a
before?
mountain of crab legs.
Yes. Honestly, that
There
is
you go.
my coping mechanism.
Crab legs.
Crab eating competition. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Crab.
I'm gonna feel so much better afterwards.
You know what would help me right now? 30 to
Yes.
40 crab legs real
Yes.
fast.
30 to 40
Yes.
pounds of crab legs.
Yeah.
Dear Christ. Yeah, I took that to mean that she was killed. That the mom was killed by Freddy. I thought it was like a little like winky wink face.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
she died in her sleep, just like everybody else died in their sleep too, who's been a victim of Freddy.
Mm.
So I think
Okay,
it
vibes.
was that for me in my world. But yeah, that whole side plot was cool, I guess. It was important. And I liked that it ended in Freddy like melting with the holy water and shit. That was cool.
Yeah. It was
But like I was like, give me more Freddy fucking stop motion shit. I don't care.
Mhm.
I don't care about these men. Except I do love looking at the dad's face. Like he has such a powerful face.
massage.
Side note for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he created his own hallowed ground by just like stealing the holy water and the crucifix and DIYing it. Which was, kind of a power move from Neil. And I thought
He's
it was an
not
interesting
totally
way
useless.
to like tie the nun in, and
He
have her
believed
get her shine a little
he
bit.
believed Nancy. That's a slay.
You know, I kind of wish that Sister Mary Helena had come to Nancy instead of Neil in the movie. I feel like
It would have been
that's
cool.
something that Nancy deserved more than, because obviously she's like knowing a lot about Krueger, and I'm assuming all the dead people are like, yeah, that girl faced him. She knows a lot. And then appearing to her would have made more sense than just rando
No,
Neil. But I
totally.
guess it was like probably to convince him to help Nancy. I just, because maybe he wouldn't have had it not been for the mysterious nun.
Had he not
But
had his own ghost nun experience.
A ghost nun
see dead
experience
people.
will change you. So
Very
we needed
compelling.
that.
It
Very
will make you believe
convincing.
things. Yes, 100%.
I just don't think that it's fair though that Nancy got axed in this movie. I know
I
we're not
really
there yet,
thought
but
she
like
survived. I really thought that she was in like 5 more of these movies.
oh, they
They
fucking
should have
killed
gone with the
her.
end. They
I
should
guess
have
just
gone
New
with the
Right.
end.
I
Nightmare
love
maybe
that.
led me astray, but I just assumed that she was such like
Ah,
a long running
Mhm.
don't
final
spoil
girl.
New Nightmare. I'm so excited to watch New Nightmare. Do I have to watch all of them
Well, that's
before
the
I
meta
watch New
one.
Nightmare?
You don't
Isn't
have
it?
to. You really have to watch only the first one, really, to get it.
Okay. Yes.
Wait, but you
I've
haven't
been
seen New
No,
Nightmare?
I haven't seen New Nightmare. This
I
I've
haven't
been
either.
I watch
seen
them real
these
time with these
3.
episodes.
This
I've only
is my
seen these
favorite.
3.
It's my
I
favorite
saw
movie
your
of all
whole
time.
I saw your whole
Yes.
post about it the other day
Oh
or
God, I
whenever
love
you
New
did that,
Nightmare.
and I got so excited about it, but then I only watched part of your post because I was like, I will not be spoiled for New Nightmare. I've kept
We'll
my
have you
brain
back when we
safe.
do that one eventually
Yeah.
on the pod.
New Nightmare, isn't that the one that's like not necessarily related canonically to the other ones because it like takes place in our real world where the movies
Yeah.
exist?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
So
is in my
cool.
Interesting
definition,
premise.
like I call it the most official fan film ever made.
Ooh.
I mean, couldn't get more official.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
telling you.
Okay, really quick aside, and then we'll go back to this movie. Today, I
Yes.
watched Wes Craven's Dracula 2000 also. Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God,
how I
Gerard
felt
Butler.
also.
Ugh.
What?
Gerard Butler.
That's
Gerard
Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
He's Dracula,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Oh my
he's
God, I
Dracula.
didn't even realize that that's Gerard Butler because he looks so different. This is a movie that I think maybe must do on the podcast, by the way. Watched it today with like, I would say 40% paying attention, and I was just blown away. Pass that
It
won't quit. It's a Wes Craven property.
it
Sexy,
is,
sexy,
and
sexy.
I love the idea, side note, I love what they explain about why Dracula is who he is because of his history. Taking it back, I'm like,
Oh,
"Ooh, that's an interesting take."
I
And
was
then
like, really? I did laugh a little bit, but
yeah. And then
anyway.
the New Orleans thing, like I was so obsessed with that movie. It was like even before I became a Nightmare on Elm Street fan because I was such a huge Phantom of the Opera fan. I still am. Like Gerard
Oh,
Butler is the love of my life. And so I watched that movie and I like recreated absolutely everything I possibly could from that movie in The Sims at the time because I just
that
wanted
is
to.
perfect. That's the exact that you watch that movie.
That's the
You
way to
go
be a
play
big
Sims.
fan of
Yeah.
anything.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you. But that movie is so early 2000s, cheesy. I freaking love that movie. That movie is great. So,
It is
yes.
fantastic. Sorry, I'm sorry I brought it up, but I was like, I
No,
know
no.
because you love Wes so much that you're gonna understand how I felt this morning when I watched that movie. It really was fantastic. So look at that. We have another person who is seconding my plea to have this come on the podcast at some
Please
point.
talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh my God, I have so many thoughts and they're only half baked right now. But okay, back to our boy Freddy. I wish that there were like 45 more deaths in this movie just because they did such a good job. And I also wish that when they were gonna make Taryn's head blow up that it had worked. But I
Mm.
do feel bad that they were gonna make Taryn's head blow up because things were already going really bad for her. But you could see that was what the effect they were trying to get to because like
Mhm.
when she's getting injected with all of those needles, like her vein in her temple is like pulsating, which was disgusting. But yeah, she was gonna have her head go splody.
I'm
And
kind
it
of glad
didn't.
it would have looked cool, but I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen because it was kind of a little more sad that there wasn't like,
Yeah.
whoa, you know?
Yeah. I wanted to relinquish those feelings. But all right,
I get it.
Diandra, I'll face them. I'll look them
I'm
in the eye
sorry.
because it's so tragic.
It does help when it's something kind of a little bit silly.
Yeah, it's
But yeah.
that's one of the darker ones in this movie. But I mean, okay, wait. Here's one more thing that I thought and then found out was a plan, and I felt proud of myself. When Joey, not Johnny, was having his sexual experience with the nurse, and I was like, okay, well, the nurse is going to be Freddy. When Freddy didn't have women tits on his body, I was furious. I was so mad. I was like, this is a huge missed opportunity for
Yeah.
Freddy to have titties. I just really think that it would
I
have
think
been
he'd love
amazing.
it.
We
Yeah,
would
he would
love
really
it.
love
We would
that.
all
Mhm.
love it. We would have much fodder for the how could this movie be gayer part of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Joey.
Exactly. And then they apparently did try it and it looked fucking stupid. So they cut it. But give me the
What's
director's
wrong with
cut.
looking
Give me the titty cut.
stupid?
It would have
Give
been
me the
so
titty cut.
fun. Titty cut.
She
titty
says
cut.
to him,
Titty
Joey,
cut.
do you like my body? And if they had just done a callback from that with Freddie being like, how about now? You know what I mean? Like, I think that would
That's
have
so
really
on
slayed.
brand
It
for
would've
I
been
would
Freddy.
have
so good.
cried from joy, just pure ecstasy. Like that was the only time I felt like let down by this movie when that didn't happen. And then I went straight to the fun facts and I was like, well,
Where is it?
at
Yeah.
least we were on the same page. At least there was an attempt. Oh my God.
I know,
So
missed
fucking funny.
opportunity.
That's a real missed opportunity. Okay. What else do we have to
Does
talk
Joey
about?
survive to the end?
He does.
Yeah.
What a shocking
I know.
survival. He goes in coma so early in the movie. He has "come and get me, bitch" carved into his chest.
Yeah, do you think he has like some major scars from that? I'm assuming. They look
Could you
pretty
imagine
Yeah.
having "come and get me, bitch" carved into your chest?
That's a rough
Susan,
one.
I have to tell you something before I take off my shirt.
Also, can you imagine how many bar fights you would win without even starting by simply ripping your shirt open every time you get in conflict?
Hmm.
It's just "come and get
I'd
me,
be
bitch."
like,
Everybody would be like, "Oh my god, okay,
This dude's
I
insane.
am not fucking with
Wait.
this guy. Never mind."
That's making me think of Fear, the Marky Mark movie that we did many years ago. What did he write?
Yeah.
He cut something into
It's her
his
name,
chest.
I think.
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon. Whatever her name was in the movie. Yeah. That guy really had a rough deal. Like that actor, I just felt bad for him because he was playing a character that did not speak, and boy, he did not speak. He just didn't. One time he didn't
gets
have.
his power scream in the mirror hall.
Oh yeah, that
True.
is why that was so powerful. The mural hall was cool.
Yeah. But no, you
Um,
should feel bad for that actor because apparently being tied up to the bed like that and being tied over the hellhole.
You mean
once the
being
mattress falls
tongue-tied?
down into being tongue tied.
Oh wow, it's so on the nose. I did not get that till now. Keep going.
Yeah. But apparently he was in that set for many hours. It's IMDb again. Not necessarily trustworthy at all this episode. But it said that Rodney Eastman was standing up when he appears to be strapped to that bed, and he had to be spread eagle for so long that he actually passed out, and compared the experience to crucifixion.
No, this is true.
He said, "I'm just like Jesus."
Poor
off,
guy,
queen.
you can die from
Also,
that. That's how you
yeah.
asphyxiate like that.
Also, let's talk about that tear that he has under his eye. Doesn't that mean something in prison? Doesn't that
Yeah, it
mean
means you
something in
killed a
prison?
person.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I saw
Thank
that.
you. I like
I
They
the
saw
have
that
it
in
in
one
Krueger.
Yes,
He
I
did.
saw it in one scene, and then you never really I never noticed it again. Besides
Yeah.
that one.
What do you think
scene.
was happened to him that was so traumatizing that he went completely mute? I mean, hello.
I know. Did they?
We've talked about the guilt that comes with doing a murder, so
But did they in the movie retcon the tattoo like within the film? Like because I don't
they
remember
were gonna give
seeing
him a
it
prison
again.
I
murder
think he just drew
backstory,
it on
and then they
himself.
were
He was like,
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
as one does,
just an emo moment, you know?
as one must.
that's so
occasionally.
funny. Sometimes you just
That's very
gotta take the
teenager.
Sharpie to your own face, not wait till
Yeah.
you fall asleep first at the slumber party. You know,
Mm-mm.
you do it to yourself.
Yeah,
Wow.
beat him to it.
He
He's
got
got
bored
so
in
much
group and
going
he
on.
just started doodling.
Poor
He was
guy.
like, I'm gonna do this like Crybaby did, actually.
That group was so
Dude.
terrible in this universe because the whole time they're just having that lady bully them into being
He's so mean.
mentally well, which is not
That's not
helpful.
how you
That's
do
how
it.
it's done.
He really thinks just being like, get over it is gonna like get them where they need to be.
So
Not that
many people
reverse
actually
psychology
think
stuff.
that's how it works. So
It's
Yeah.
very we talked about Reagan a lot in the second movie. But I still felt his influence with this movie where they were really being like, oh, the moral conflicts and overt sexuality in this group of teens, and that's why they all feel terrible, and that's why they're all haunted by bad dreams. It's just like,
Oh,
and also
great.
the
Now
fact
it's
that
my
they're, like,
dick
in an
that's killing me.
institution. Oh my god, well,
That line was so funny.
Kincaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
I
like, you're
don't know.
so horny, you want to kill yourself. That's what they were
Mhm.
saying, and that's terrible. Oh my god.
That's
I
what
don't
they
wanna jump
believed
ahead
back
to
then.
segments
Sex,
too
drugs,
much.
and rock and roll.
Yeah,
Shit.
but also it felt very big, like some of you are gay. So,
Mhm.
and some of them are gay, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
Well, I mean, do we want to just talk about the bitter end and then get into segments? Because I think we've covered most of it.
Well, I also want to say that the little girl on the tricycle in the beginning was very much giving Billy Puppet from Saw.
also that little
Oh, yeah.
girl when she's like running through
she's
the
ru- it's
house
such-
and it's such a doll and it's
it's so clearly a
funny.
doll.
Yeah,
love
I
that,
read
though.
some fucked up shit about the doll that they made for that they ended up not going with that I don't even really want to say. But
Oh, I want to hear it though because all I saw was that it was desiccated, and I want to know more about what the intention behind that was.
they wanted
Actually,
a
are you
doll. They were like, I'm so sorry. They were like, think Auschwitz when you're making this doll. And then they made the doll and it was so fucked up. They're like, we're not gonna do it. And I'm sorry that I said it, but that is what it's
Yep.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm not holding you responsible for what
It's
they
not my
said.
fault.
That one's on them.
We're
Don't
just
kill the
reporting
messenger.
facts.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, okay, well, I'm glad that you looked at it and you're like, okay, we gave that note and we regret giving that note and we're nixing it. So thank you. Glad you nixed that. Still mad about the tit thing, to be clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You win some, you lose
Yeah.
some, you know?
Did you like
Yeah.
the tongue thing though in the makeout scene? Did that do it for you when their
I
tongues were
loved
one
I
big
loved
tongue?
that. That was great. Of course. That's separate to me from the tit thing. But I did like
Yeah.
that a lot. The
Mhm.
tongue thing was very upsetting. And the fact that she could just like pull out tongues out of her mouth.
Just
tie him up.
Just shooting them out.
what a
Burping,
great
burping
talent
out
to
tongues.
have.
Yeah.
Very
Could
creative.
you imagine putting that on your like dating profile? Like, I can whip my tongue, and then
Yeah.
everybody's like, "What's that?" You're like,
Hot
"Let me show
tohu.
you."
She has a podcast now. She's coming for our lives, y'all.
Oh,
Our
no.
livelihood.
Competition.
horrifying.
Oh my god.
I know. We can't measure up. She has like 2 million followers on Instagram or something.
Is she talking about horror movies? Oh my god!
No, oh my god, I don't know. I have no idea. I asked Adam, what does she talk about? And he's like, why do you think I listen to it? And I was like, you're right. I don't
You're a
think I
man.
want you to be listening to it. Okay. The bitter end, is that what we should discuss? I don't even remember what
Yee.
happens. The rest of it is so much more
Um,
exciting.
The skeleton fights Neil. I liked that part.
Yeah.
I
I
love
liked
the way
when
that
Freddy's
looked.
skeleton does fighting.
I like that. That looked really cool.
As far as I know, when Nancy goes, he's gone, it's over, the movie ends. And that's the very end of the movie. And we don't see anything else.
Right?
Yeah, nor the part where we get poor Kristen wailing, being, I won't let you die. Like, oh my God, that part was so sad. I loved Kristen and Nancy's relationship. They're very
Mhm.
sweet. And I have other thoughts too, but we'll save that for a second later. I think it's so sweet. I mean, it's so random that Kristen has the power to throw people into dreams, but we love that.
And do backflips in dreams.
Yeah, that's so important, actually.
Pretty sick.
One of
pretty
my
sick.
notes is she really stayed on that in my dreams. I can do gymnastics beat, and I love that for her.
Mhm.
I love that they all have like a power.
I wonder what
dreams.
Philip's
I'm
power would
beautiful.
be.
And bad.
Yeah, that's what her power is.
I want to
Oh,
know
yeah,
what
what
my
is
dream
it?
power would be.
Yeah.
I think you get to decide.
You get to pick? Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
mean, like,
wondering.
Oh.
I think Kristen has a, I don't know if we're doing God-given power to bring people into dreams, but I think all of the other dream powers are just like, here's what I decide is my dream power. In my dreams, I can walk, and in my dreams, I'm bad,
A
and in my
wizard.
dreams, I can bend things.
I can
don't-
yell. I
Super
can yell
strength.
real loud.
My dreams, I can talk.
Okay, I'm glad that we get to choose because if we didn't get to choose, my power would be being pregnant.
Being pregnant.
And
Right.
so I'm really glad I'm not gonna choose. I'm not gonna
Mine
choose
would
that
be
if I get the
summoning
opportunity.
zombies.
In your dream, you want to
Ooh.
summon. Oh, you're saying that was
I don't
what you
want
don't
to.
want, but that's what
I'm
That's your most
actually
recent.
scared
I
of
was like, what
zombies.
an interesting
Yeah.
choice.
Zombies are my
scary.
greatest fear. Like, can you imagine just the
Ah.
I
end
get
of
that.
the world and something wants to eat you? Like,
No, because
like
I am once again myself if that happens. Or I want to
I
be turned
really-
into a zombie and kept as a pet
that'd be
by
kind of
my
cute.
loved ones.
Get a little collar with a little leash on it.
And a,
Love.
like
I
cute
keep
little
her
like Hannibal
outside my
Lecter
yard.
mask, you
yeah.
know? That,
Ooh.
Like, oh, this is my friend
Play.
Sydney. We lost her a
Bleh.
few years ago, but we keep her body around.
exactly.
What would yours
Cute.
be, Chelsea?
My scary dream power or my delightful dream power?
Whichever one comes to first.
I'll keep some thoughts private. But
Okay.
Oh my
Can we
god.
get a hint?
I
Can
don't
we-
like my most stressful dreams are all rehashing interpersonal conflicts in ways that I really just don't have to deal with in reality. And so I always wake up and I'm like, why am I still dreaming about this person? But
Her
that's
dream
just a
power is
little
re-traumatizing
torture for
herself.
me. Yeah, my dream power is again what it's so we so don't have to talk about it. But my fun
I wasn't
dream
trying to trigger you.
power-
I was
My
trying to
fun
say
dream
something
power
fun.
is that I can I think I would want like a flying vehicle, you know what I mean? And my fun
Ooh.
dream power. I think I'm like summoning
Telekinesis.
objects and yeah, not
Telekinesis.
telekinesis exactly. That sounds like it takes a lot of brain power, but I would like summon my flying car.
Oh,
Okay. Play.
you just call it and it comes.
Yep. I love
Hmm.
that for you.
I'm into that.
I'm down to do what you've decided though, Diandra, that we retcon the end and we pretend that there's no funeral and blah 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 blah. Though it
Mhm.
was fun that they kind of tried to be like M. Night Shyamalan about it. I probably said it wrong, sorry.
Yeah.
Where they're like, it was the dead mom the whole time. I love a little gotcha. So fun.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm still going to, even though they didn't give us the like straight up of the ending, and even though we get it in the comics, because not everybody knows about the comics, it's my mission to educate people on the
Yeah.
Please.
You gotta
original
spread
ending
awareness.
and the comics and be like, Nancy is actually also dead, but she's like Freddy and she lives in the beautiful dream, saving people, protecting people. It's really cool in the comics
I
too,
love
because
that.
like on one page they talk about what happened to her like between the first and the third movie. So one of the things that my friends and I
Mm.
did in like 2016, we made a fan film about Nancy between
cool.
Nightmares 1 and 3. Using that page from that, which was essentially after the first movie, she gets taken away to a mental hospital. So when she says,
Sure.
I used to be like them, Neil, it wasn't just about
That
everything.
time when she did the sleep study.
Yeah, she also went into the mental hospital and then she came out and she studied really hard. She had these great roommates, Priscilla and Sybil, and
Oh.
then she like went and she just kept going after this like
Yeah, she's the new
educational
hot
approach to
shot
Freddy.
grad student.
Yeah. Yeah, she became
Mm-hmm.
a really big grad school superstar so she could try to defeat Freddy. She basically dedicated her life to trying to help kids and defeat this awful human being, which is kind of sweet when you think about her dying that way to live on, because that's an even better way for her to battle
Mm-hmm.
Freddy. Because
Now they're
even
on
in
even
like,
playing field.
exactly, exactly. It makes
Yeah.
so much sense. And it's not just in that comic, but also in Freddy versus Jason versus Ash Nightmare Warriors. She comes back and she's like one of the key things to getting
Freddy
rid
versus
of
Jason
Freddy.
versus Ash
Is
Hmm.
that a movie or a
from
comic
Evil
book?
Oh,
Dead.
yeah, it's a comic book. They have the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash because we were supposed to get a sequel with Ash. We never got it. So they have some comics.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh,
I'd support
Yes.
that.
Yes.
What do you
I'd love
think
a
about the Freddy
crossover.
versus Jason movies? Do you like those, or are they
I
just too crazy? I haven't watched them, so I just don't
I
know.
think it's fun. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's not what I'd hoped it would be." And I didn't go in with any expectations because I didn't
Mhm.
know anything about Friday the 13th. And it was like the second nightmare movie that I watched when I first started renting all the movies. I
Oh,
watched them
okay.
completely out of order, but I loved it. I thought it was, I think it's so early 2000s, fun, over the top.
It's
Like,
like when they have a Disney Channel special event and it's like Sweet Life on deck with
mm-hmm.
Wiz
Raven or what
Wizard
that's
of
not a
Waver's
good
That's
comparison.
so
Yeah.
sweet life on deck with Hannah Montana.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wizards of Elm Street. Yeah.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah.
We'll have to
It's
do
so
one of
much
those
fun.
sometime.
Yeah.
Okay, are we
Yeah.
ready to go to our
Degamonto?
I'm ready.
Okay. We
Okay.
ask the age-old question, how could the Dream Warriors be gayer?
Well, Taryn Gay. Tell you that for free.
Taryn gay.
Yeah, that mohawk. Gay.
Taryn Gay.
Lesbians.
But be careful. We
Yeah.
just saw Pink in concert, so sometimes you can be confused by a mohawk. But Taryn's gay.
Yeah.
I don't
Taryn's
know.
gay.
Pink has always given me butch vibes. She just hasn't like discovered it yet.
Yeah.
Pink can live her own life in whatever way she wants to, and anybody can have whatever hair they want, but Pink
Taryn's
is
gay.
giving a lot of people some confusing ideas about her identity, and
Mhm.
I won't say that they're unfounded.
I'll say that I love Pink, and then we can move on. I didn't feel that way before I saw her show, and then I saw her show, and it changed my life. And
And
Pink-
then Monica saw her do her flips in person.
Very
She's
Kristen coded, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, actually, it was smart for me to bring up Pink, and that's why, because it's
Mhm,
all
yeah.
related to Dream Warriors. But yeah,
That's
Taryn's
It all
her
goes
gay.
back to
dream
Dream
power.
Warriors. Yeah, flipping.
But I did put in my notes, I put Taryn Gay back when they were in the first group. So it was before I saw her with the mohawk. So I don't remember what made me say that, but there was something inherent about her that was gay.
It was the plaid.
Maybe.
100%.
Maybe.
The plaid.
Will,
Mhm.
also gay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love him so much. Why'd he have to die? I'm so upset. I love that little baby boy. His glasses.
Honestly,
Apparently that actor played D&D in real life, so he was like, isolated.
Mhm.
I'm perfect for this role.
I also think Kincaid would make for like a really good drag queen. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh.
Like, I'm rewatching a lot of RuPaul's Drag
Oh.
Race right now, and I'm
Okay.
like kind of giving Kincaid like a little bit. And some of the, when he's like, "You think you hot shit with the little mute kid, don't you?" Like, he's badass, but at the
He's
same
got the
time, like he's
one-liners.
super sassy. Yeah, with
That
those
said,
muscles.
Strong.
he did have that line where Kristen, I think, was like, Kincaid, I could kiss you, and he's like, what's stopping you? And that felt very straight guy to me, unfortunately, because it was a little where's my hug adjacent.
I mean, I've had gay guys say
but
that to me. They're like, "Kiss me,
that's
girl," and I'm
true.
like, "Yes." Mm.
I did like what's stopping you, and then he was like,
Mhm.
cool, after he got
Yeah.
his little kissies. So I was like, okay, slay. I did think it was a slay.
Yeah.
Bisexual maybe then.
Ooh, bisexual
bisexual
we
Kincaid.
go.
Compromise.
Yes.
I
He's
just
got
feel
those tendencies, but
like a few years down the line, if things had gone differently, like I want Nancy and Kristen to find each other on a different after years apart or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know. Just saying, they just had a really strong connection that was very beautiful. But also, it could just be pure whatever without lust involved. But years
It
down the
could
line, they
be-
reconnect and they're like, "Wow, you were very important."
Nancy is loved by lesbians, so I would not say that that is out of the question.
We're pretending Neil's
Who
not
knows?
real. Bye,
Oh,
Neil.
always.
does
that?
not
Who the-
exist.
It's not
Who the
fuck
canon.
is
I
that?
do
It's
not
just kind
see
of
Neil.
weirdly implied. So I think we can ignore that 100%.
Yeah, they got rid of that part. That's totally.
They cut it out, so we don't even have to acknowledge it at all.
I love that it's half baked their romance because then I don't have to face it head on. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
easy to forget about.
Where it's
So
just like, all of a
thanks,
sudden, why are they
actually.
touching each other like that? And then why are they having private dinner at home in front of the fireplace? But also, we don't need to.
They're eating at the coffee table. That's how like chill they've gotten with each other. Not even the dinner table.
Friend zoned. That's
Oh,
what
maybe.
I think. I hope so.
Maybe they're both queer.
Ooh. They've
Ooh.
connected over their gay.
Now I
like
love
that.
Neil. Now I love Neil.
Mhm.
Suddenly, I love Neil.
Suddenly I feel positively for
Gay Neil. I'm here for it. Yeah.
I think that could be a good thing for him. I think that could really be a positive influence for his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
love him though. He was like, I'm too proud. Who's this hotshot grad student? And then he meets her and she's like, you should give them all this experimental drug. And he's like, you're right. And
Yeah.
the dream verse is real and blah 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 blah. I gotta give him his props. That's a lot of
Mhm.
information to take on us, especially with your basis
Yeah.
being in science. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm in pretty quick, which is a big switch up from last week when we did Paranormal Activity. So I'm feeling refreshed, quite honestly.
And honestly, Neil mentioning that Nancy sounds like Peter Pan, kind of gay. Can't lie.
That's true.
Mhm.
No, there's something
Okay.
there.
All right.
Sound like Peter Pan. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will take that as a compliment.
Okay. Any other gay thoughts you'd like to share before we move on?
So many more gay thoughts.
Mm.
Okay, next we have to ask, where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film?
I've been thinking about this long and hard.
Ooh,
No
okay.
pun intended. Sorry.
All puns intended.
Let's see. I haven't thought about it at all, conversely, so I will think about it for the first time now.
Are we talking about Matthew Lillard like now? Or are we talking
It
about
could be
Matthew Lillard?
any
whatever
Matthew
Matthew
Lillard.
Lillard you want.
Time traveling Matthew Lillard, but also in 1985, he would have been a good age to be in this
15?
movie, honestly. So, something to consider. I think he would be really fun as Philip because I want him to have an opportunity to work in a space with claymation. And I feel like he would have done the weird little walk with the tendons.
The physicality of it.
Yeah, that would have been good for him. And we want him to be able to say something cunty, you know? So
Yes,
he
it
can't be Joey.
No.
He can't be
But
Joey.
I believe Matthew Lillard does play D&D, so he could have
He
been
does.
the
I
kid
know.
in the
He could have been
wheelchair.
Will.
That's the
Will.
Yeah.
wizard. Will.
He could have been
In
the
my
wizard.
dreams, I am the wizard.
Wizard. I just
master.
feel like that he would have brought so much
My
good energy to
boy.
that.
I could have seen him going down the
boy.
tunnel like whoosh, because you see him, he does that thing with his whoosh, like he would have totally done that. That's totally Matthew.
A slightly
Mhm.
older Matthew Lillard could have been a fun second orderly that it was always like Max and a new orderly. Like I
Can we
wouldn't want
get
him
two positive influences in these children's lives, maybe?
two really
Yeah.
sexy positive influences. I feel like they would have made a great team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could also
Or-
be gay.
Oh,
what? That's
what?
crazy. Who said that?
Crazy. Where did that come from?
And Matthew Lillard and Lawrence Fishburne are in love. Okay.
And
Yes!
yeah.
Conversely and oppositely, Neil could be Matthew Lillard to make me care about Neil at all. We could make me
I
care about
consider
Neil
that.
at all by making
And then
I
maybe
would
it's
have
like
Lillard.
a romance I'm invested in.
Yeah, like,
I
oh
don't
my god,
know.
suddenly you're like sparks are flying. The chemistry.
tension.
But then
He's a
Neil's
little bit
actually
silly.
in love with
Yeah.
Max.
He's a little bit silly.
has a personality.
love triangle
Ooh.
with
Freddy
Max.
who?
Very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other Matthew placements? Oh, I have like a Maddie Lily halo right now. That straw says Maddie Lily.
with your straw.
It's in my straw. Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I maintain that Matthew Lillard would do a great version of Freddy Krueger at some point. You know what I mean? But Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger, so
Yeah. That's the guy.
if he had what if he had like a secondary dream Freddy pop up at one point? Like, I think there should be a scene with multiple Freddys.
Matthew
and
Lillard
one
with
could be a
boobies.
Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're speaking my language.
Hear me out. Hear me out. There is a Freddy movie down the line where Freddy is like Batman and he needs a Robin. And so there's some other secondary sidekick Freddy like guy, and that's Matthew Lillard.
I think that would be sick.
And it would be funny
also
because
just
he's
think-
much taller than Robert Englund. I would imagine, actually, no idea how tall that man is.
Yeah, he's actually not that tall. He's like
Yeah.
a couple inches taller than me right now. So
He didn't seem, he's not giving off hugely tall guy
No.
vibes, but he's got a tall personality, and that's what
exactly.
counts.
It's how you use it.
Yeah, I mean, it's again the dreamscape, and I feel like there's a lot of room for creativity in the dreamscape. And if Freddy was like, here's my army of Freddys behind me, and they're all played by different actors just for fun, I think they could do that and get away with it, and it would make sense.
It's all been. I mean,
I'm
it's,
behind it.
It's not a new concept to Nightmare. Like a lot of the books too will have like Freddy has a protege, or there's like in one of the original scripts for Freddy versus Jason, there was like how they were gonna have the cult of Stu. They were gonna have something similar for Freddy. So
Cult of Freddy makes people love to be fangirls for a little freak weirdo monster man.
They do.
I'd be there. I'd be like, that's my freak. That's my religion.
Uh-huh.
I love it. Okay, we're ready for dumb bitch. Who is the dumb bitch of A Nightmare
That
on Elm Street 3?
lady.
New
Dr.
Night- or not
Sims?
New Nightmare.
Yeah, the doctor
dumb
lady.
bitch, Dream
That
Warrior.
bitch.
That's
Also
that's
Elaine
the dumb
Parker.
bitch.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
Kirsten's mom. She sucks.
I did love when she was decapitated and her head was still talking though. And she
Her
was
head
like,
was so
"You ruin
mean.
You ruin it. Whenever I have dudes over, you cock block me." Essentially,
Yes,
what she
so-
said as a
That's like
decapitated
the
head.
worst kind of mom.
That was,
Yeah.
But that was
that was a funny
Freddy.
line though.
Still, that's what she was
But I hear
basically
you.
implying at the beginning too.
Which
The
again,
orderly-
very Tina's mom
or-
coded.
Dr.
Mhm.
Elizabeth Sims is for sure the dummiest of all.
Mhm.
She's like, Kincaid's like, isn't it weird? I don't know if it was Kincaid, but one of them is like, oh, isn't it weird that we all were having these dreams separately before we got here about the same guy and you just keep ignoring that? But it's kind of a funny coincidence.
Mhm.
Dumb bitch behavior, Dr. Sims.
Can
Come on.
can Neil qualify as the dumb bitch?
Always.
I feel
He's
like
the stupidest.
he's really annoying, but he does do that sick shit where he fights the skeleton and he hallows the ground and stuff. So that was cool. I mean,
He's
like,
got
I
a
gotta give him
best
some
friend
props.
Who's a ghost nun.
True.
I guess
He's open to conversing with spirits in a non-antagonistic way, which honestly, if you had watched Paranormal Activity 1 and 2 with us last week, you would understand why I'm like, Neil is actually pretty sick. for
Neil
a
is
dude in
actually
a
his
paranormal
leg.
situation,
I've
Neil
gotta
is getting
go.
points
I've
on
gotta go
it.
wash
Why-
my hair.
Go
Okay, but
go to your
I-
TV.
One
and
You
star.
know
watch-
what?
One
I
star.
appreciate your commitment to hating Neil. I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
I appreciate
I'm actually
it.
gonna
I
make
appreciate it.
T-shirts. Yeah.
Big time Neil hater. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, ultimate is Dr. Sims, but we give it
Mhm.
honorary to Neil for just being a wet blanket.
You
Yeah.
can make all kinds of nominations. So
Mm.
Amazing. Okay, well, it's time for our knives out of fives. Chelsea, let us know the critical reception of this masterpiece.
well, I will say that this is, and I was shocked to see it, but this is the third highest grossing movie in the Nightmare franchise. I guess Freddy vs. Jason is number 1. And
Oh.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is number 2. And then it goes 3, and then presumably 2, and then 1, unless there's a lot more movies that I'm not aware of. Well, I mean, there are some more for sure, but Yeah, I mean the thing that was interesting that I saw in IMDb trivia also is that number 2, Nightmare 2, made a lot more money than the first one. But it was like less well received by critics. So that was kind of where they were in a bit of a pickle deciding what to do about the third one as well. But it seems like it went over medium plus. Like I said, it's one of the highest grossing ones in the franchise. But on IMDb, this movie has a 6.7 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 67% fresh from critics, fresh, and 68% from audiences, also fresh. So, was it like winning awards? Not, wasn't um breaking new ground or anything necessarily, but people liked it. It's popular. I mean,
It's arguably the fan favorite sequel after the first. A lot of people, I once did a poll. I think there might have, I don't know how many, and I'm not saying that this was the end all be all. Everybody's favorite mostly is the first one, then the third one, but like when people talk about their favorite sequel, it's pretty much always the third one.
Just because it's got Nancy in it.
Slaps.
The Nancy trilogy slaps 1, 3, and 7. Coincidence? I think not.
Everybody loves Nancy.
It's
all coming up, Nancy. I mean, yeah, this rocks. This exceeded expectations for sure. I was like, okay, the second one was campy as shit. So the third one's going to be insane. And it was insane, but like in a good movie way, not in a bad movie way. Sorry, Diandra, I know this is your lifeblood, but like, I love a movie that is like kind of like not necessarily good. I love that. I love a bad movie, but this was not a bad movie. This was a great movie. I was blown away, but I don't want to go
Plus
first,
all the
but I already
rock
started.
songs with Dawkins. I mean, come
Yes.
on now.
The music was really, really fun in this.
I will say, like I said, the movie felt very fast and short to me. It really left me wanting more, which is good, but it also made me feel like what I want maybe is it for this to be a TV show so that you can really like flesh out like the dream hauntings and like the training and like I don't know. I wanted it to have a lot more of a lot of the elements that are in place here instead of like a one-time little thing. So it's not that it was not good, but it's that I was almost like it was so brief. It felt so brief to me, just like a little jot. And again, it's a 90-minute movie, so they had time to beef it out a little if they wanted to. Maybe that would have been a slog, you know what I mean? Maybe it would have felt repetitive. But I think if given space, this movie could have really played with those fun elements. And I'm sorry, they're fun, but they're just there for a second. You know what I mean? So
there weren't enough Dream Warrior-ness in Dream Warriors.
Yeah, for it to be Dream Warriors, I want there to be more Dream Warrioring. And it's like you get 2 scenes of that, and one of them is, there for just a second. And I did love that they were like, oh, it didn't work. And then I was like, how do you know you're not in the dream? And then 1 second later, they were like, you're in the dream. So like,
the balls going over.
They were doing a lot of really fun stuff in this movie for sure. But the stuff that they were doing was so fun that I wanted more of it. And so I would give this movie like a this feels like a low score, but I mean it as I mean it positively. I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 knives out of 5s because I see the potential.
I'm going to give it a higher score than that. Don't worry, Diandra. I saw that face. Oh my God. Okay, I'll go next. I think I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 just because it gave me everything I could have possibly wanted from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I had a really good time. It wasn't too long. There was someone for me to hate. There were many people for me to love. Then my heart got broken. Then it was nice again. Then I cried when Patricia Arquette cried, not died. She didn't die. Oh my God. And I said Patricia again. So things are not going well. But I just was, like I said, very pleasantly surprised by this movie. Like the effects were second to none. Like, this was some of the most fun shit I've seen. And I just love every Nightmare movie that I've seen so far. As always, is just like it surprised me in a different way. Like the second one, never could have imagined it being that gay, even though I was told it was. It was spectacular. I loved my expectations to be overtaken. And this one, I was like, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna have my girl from the medium in it. Can't complain. I was hooting and hollering. I had a wonderful time, and I got to wear this disgusting paisley blazer that I kept. And so I love it for giving me that opportunity. So 4.5 for me.
I'm kind of right there with Monica. I had a great time with this one. It was like silly, it was goofy. I loved having Nancy back. Patricia Arquette as like for whatever reason, no matter how old or young she is, she just always looks the exact same age. And that is magical to me. I loved all like the side characters. I was invested in all the little like other people, even if I could never remember their names. I was like, oh my God, I love this person. Oh my God, I love this one.
Little cutie.
Freddy could have been a smidge sillier.
Yeah, I
He
feel
coulda had
like
titties.
honestly
Yeah,
not as much Freddy as I was expecting in this movie.
That's true.
I always want more
Maybe that's
silly,
always the
goofy
case.
Freddy. But I love this one, and it does make me want to keep watching like more of the Freddy movies because I love Freddy.
Honestly, all the dream stuff is so like up my alley that I'm really like, why am I not taking the time to get more into this franchise? Because I
Yeah.
do feel if I watched this movie more times and like really sat with it, you know what I mean? I'm sure my score would continue to improve. But it
I
felt
can show you the world.
yeah, we're just gonna have to do a movie marathon sometime, maybe.
Mhm.
Just really
like
dive
it.
in there, watch them all day long, sit
Yeah.
in it.
I'm.
You're down?
Always. I'm trying not to be too excited because I'm
Okay.
really
I'm
trying
down.
to get other
Keep it
elements
cool.
of my
Play it cool.
personality, but
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, 100%. Be chill about
You're being
it.
so chill. You're being
You're gonna
actually
be
really cool and chill
Actually,
about this.
I'm getting really normal
Thank
vibes from you right now.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah. Super mellow,
thanks.
super mellow. I thought you loved this franchise. Whoa, maybe too mellow. I'm kidding.
Give or take. Give or take. This movie for me, I would say I give it a 4 because major deduction for everything that happened to Nancy, and the fact that I'm
Totally.
aware of what it could have had and then it didn't have. But I love the rock and roll elements. I think that Freddy in this is a great mix of the dark version plus some of the humor that he gets later on. I think I consider this the turning point in the franchise. It has a spectacular story, a great cast. If there's one thing about the Nightmare films, they really have great characters outside of the main villain who have terrific relationships. They're all very unique. They all have little quirks and something very human about them.
Mhm.
And I love the idea that we get a character who comes back and she's really trying to help these kids. I think it's a fun movie. It's great horror, but at the same time, it's got a really really good story to it, which is why I think a lot of people find it to be so strong. But major deduction for Nancy and Neil.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
where
Totally
is
fair.
it in your ranking of the franchise?
The great question.
Ooh, well, let's see. I always go 7 and then 1. And then honestly, I love part 3. I usually put it up there just because it's the Nancy trilogy and it's such a good movie, but I hate her death so much that I
Mm.
usually put 4, kind of. 4 is my comfort horror movie. It is
Oh,
like so much fun, that MTV element of it. I'm so looking forward to hearing what the rest
Ooh.
of you have to think because I think the cast in it is great. Alice has the best arc out of anyone in the entire franchise. I think she's totally kick-ass and her development is pretty sweet. But I just think that's a really fun, comforting movie for me. And that was one of the early ones that I watched. So I would probably have to say 1. I know that 3 is a better movie than 4
Mhm.
is, but I
Sometimes you have a
love
favorite
4
anyway.
so much. Yeah, but I love 4 so much that I usually would choose to watch it over part 3. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
now you got me excited for 4.
I don't want to be like a bandwagon knives giver, but I did look back to see what I gave the other 2 nightmares, and I gave it a little more thought since when I spoke up 2 minutes ago. And I'm gonna bump my score to a 4 because there were 2 moments
Yeah,
where
you
I
got her.
did get like little chills watching. Like I did love in the beginning when Philip is walking away and is up in the tower and they're all like screaming for him, like Patricia Arquette screaming specifically, like I got chills. And then I also got chills when Nancy was giving like the Freddy Krueger explainer to the teens. So those were moments of like genuine connection that I had with the film that I should honor. But I'll have to rewatch it again sometime in the future and see if I like sink into the story. I love an emotional journey, and I feel like this movie was like so fun so much of the time, you know what I mean? That I was like I wasn't really like sitting in the emotions of any of the characters.
Hmm.
So that's what I wanted, I think maybe also.
Okay, fair, fair.
Yes.
Well, Deandra, look, you've already swayed and influenced one of our tried and true spooky hosts here, so you're very, very powerful. And we can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. You're
This was so
amazing.
fun and funny. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, you
Of
guys.
course. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you? Anything you have coming up, anything at all? You have the floor.
Oh my goodness. Well, you can find me at Sassy Sledgehammer on pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I kept that username everywhere. Sometimes it has HMMR because it won't allow me to add the A and the
Oh,
E because it's way
like on
too
Twitter?
long. Yeah, on Twitter and I think TikTok too. But on Instagram, it's the full thing. Full thing. Big projects. Did a couple music videos, and those should be coming out fairly soon. And
What?
then, yeah,
That's
and then I'm going to
cool.
be starting. Oh,
Video
thank
girl
you.
Deandra.
Oh my God, they're so much fun to make. Like, I just love them. I love the creativity of people, and it's amazing what people can do with like a small crew or like a
Yeah.
slightly larger crew. I'm always like, this just looks so cool, and you're sitting behind the scenes because you watch so many cool movies, and then when they actually make it happen, you're like, I'm here in real life. This is incredible. So I've done that. I have. God, I feel like there's other things happening. Oh, the next issue of Fangoria in October, the subscriber issue has Freddy on the cover, and they just revealed today that the newsstand cover has art with a little bit of Freddy. And I interviewed Robert Englund in that issue to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Nightmare. That was
Awesome.
amazing. And
So
then
rad.
I am trying to get some other like little projects off the ground. Like my friends and I, we make our documentaries like FredHeads. You can find it on Amazon or free on Tubi. It is like 2 hours long, but it is more emotional than I think a lot of people give it credit for. We talk about our journeys into becoming fans, how we all met, and other people all over the world share their stories about what Nightmare means to them, how it's helped them conquer their fears, like bullying, or even
People
trying to
apparently
unalive
told
oneself.
Jennifer Rubin that her character helped them stop doing drugs.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
things
Oh,
like
that's
that.
awesome. I'd love to
Hmm.
watch that. I was really moved by oh, his name is escaping me right now, but the
Mark
documentary
Patton.
on Mark Patton. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed that, so I'd love to watch your documentary. That sounds
Dream
great.
Queen.
Yes,
Dream Queen,
yes.
My Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hmm.
Love that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
great,
Fred has
great
that sounds
documentary.
amazing.
Thank you. And then, yeah, we're trying to just kind of figure out. I'm in the early stages of working on some other. I want to do more documentaries and stuff like that because I just love documentaries. So
Yeah,
I've had some
it's
early
such a cool medium.
conversations, but they haven't been announced yet. I'm just,
Irons in the
gotta keep moving
fire.
forward. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Before we have you go, I'm switching up the order of things. Sorry, y'all.
Oh.
We're doing poll question now because I think that makes more sense. So we need to come up for a poll question for our Spotify listeners about this movie.
What's your
Question.
dream power?
Yeah.
I wish that would be
Yeah,
a good open-ended question,
Hmm.
but
I
Yeah.
know. We
Should
can
Neil
give.
die? The end.
Should we kill Neil instead of Nancy?
just die. Yeah.
Think about
Um,
that. Yeah, what's your dream power could be
mm,
good, and we can give you
yeah,
some options, and you can comment because you can still comment on the episode.
yeah.
Any other ones that you might want to have? Feels like a good one.
Mm.
Okay. Well, we are moving on. It's a season 5 premiere. It's very exciting. We've got a
Yay!
whole new look. We got a whole new friend. Look at this. It's amazing. And we've got some exciting programming coming up for the rest of this month. It's October, baby. It's going crazy. And so our next movie is
We're doing one of my favorite movies. It's a 90s movie. I was on Super Scary podcast, who we've had on with Josh,
Shout out
talking about
Josh.
this exact
Josh.
movie
We
on
love
his
Josh.
podcast. And I cannot wait to rewatch it and also talk about it some more. And that is The Craft.
Woo! Witchy time for Samhain. It's very
Is the season
important.
for the witch, you know?
It really is the season of the witch, is it not? I'm excited. This was like our inspiration for our season 1 episode art, and then we just never did this movie. So
We said,
I,
psych, we're bringing it back now.
Well, I thought about it too because for this episode, this is my impression of my season 4 episode art, and I was like, the only time we did a Scream or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street movie at all in that season, which is what our little Polaroids were, was when we did the Scream Scary Movie double feature. That's the only time we got a single one of those movies on there.
oopsies.
But they were with us the whole time because of the Polaroids. So
Mm. Well, I'm excited to tackle that next week. It's going to be super fun. And why not give us a 5-star review on social media, not social media, on Apple Podcasts, because it's our season 5 opener. 5 stars. Oh my God, it just makes a lot of sense. 5 fingers on your hand. You won't forget. You
Wow.
look down, you'll know. Amazing. And you could say something like, wow, Diandra looks so good with her new bangs. Thanks for introducing her on the pod. You probably came here from her, honestly, but let's be so real though. So that's just one idea for a review. Also, you can give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. That would be great. And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Speaking of Spooky Tuesday Pod, put a .com after that, and that's our website. And would you believe that it is populated with blogs for every single episode that we've ever done now? Yeah, Chelsea and I have been working on that all week, and it's been a lot of time. It's taken a lot of time, but you can go on there and see all of our references, all of our beautiful episode descriptions, the episode art, a whole bunch of really fun stuff. So go check it out.
what else are you going to be able to find on there now, Monica?
Oh,
go-
yes. Also, we started a new thing. If you for some reason aren't listening to one of our episodes, weird. But you want to
Really
know
weird.
what
Don't know why you would skip
yeah,
one.
I don't know why you would skip one. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. But if you wanted to know what the next week's movie is going to be and you didn't have time to listen to this week's movie, you can go to our latest blog post for the movie that week we're doing now, and down at the bottom of it, it will say next week on Spooky Tuesday, and you will find the movie that we are doing next week. So if people like to keep it a surprise, you don't have to scroll down. You don't have to look at it, okay? You can just wait until we say it. But for people who want to know, there you go. It's a little announcement
That's where
for
you
you.
can find it.
That's where you can
go
find
look
it. And yeah, we're also on YouTube, looking very cute today. I'm dressed as Nancy in one of her dowdiest outfits of all time. Wish I had the cunty hat from the funeral. Don't you worry, I tried to make it. Couldn't happen. Chelsea is serving hand, serving claw. Very incredible. Diandra is Freddy herself, looking very dashingly beautiful in red
Freddy
and
with
green.
boobs was here
With
the whole
boobs!
time.
Freddy with boobs was here the whole time.
We have Freddy with boobs at home.
Oh, thank you.
I-
guys, so much.
Also, Sydney is being herself, but I think that she looks like Patricia Arquette, and so she's kind of just being Patricia Arquette, but she is wearing a flannel, which is very Taryn of her. So there's a lot to
Whoa,
glean.
Dual influence.
I know. So
Mhm.
you can only see that on our YouTube. So check it out. And I have to say, at the end of the day, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Diandra, for joining us today, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.